Icarus Week 229 Atmospheric Update. We have several improvements to various atmospheric effects, visuals, and performance. They have made some changes to the waterfall shader and what it looks like, as well as the storm wall. It is returned to Icarus. And also, we now have some visual Wisp effects in the desert and Arctic regions. This week's notable improvements are the following. They revamped the waterfall visuals, resulting in both improved visuals and performance. They did some texture optimization on several hundred textures, saving around 1.5 gigs of memory, while still retaining the high quality that you have come to expect from Icarus. Working on optimizations and performance? What? They re-enabled the storm wall effects, got those visual wisp effects in the Arctic and desert regions. They have been enabled again. There's a new uranium node spawn location on the Elysium mushroom swamp, and they fixed the NPCs so they leave correctly during various quests on Eden. There's no longer a yellow tint on the snow wolf. Added the raw meat tag to raw bacon so it can be used in tag-based query recipes. And they reduced Komodo spawns on the Omphalos quest. They also adjusted the hammerhead slug boss fight so nearby wild creatures no longer draw in. And they also fixed stacking modifiers and auras that were not properly being cleared when players moved out of range. So Waterfalls have got a large visual and performance update this week. They changed the way the waterfalls look, and they should perform better now. One of the senior artists goes into some technical lingo here about what they actually did to the waterfalls, but we'll just kind of show you what the waterfalls look like now. And they also kind of have a little visual GIF here and kind of shows you a before and after picture of the waterfalls. On the left is, of course, before, after on the right-hand side. So luckily for us, we do have a waterfall right next to our base. Actually, quite a few of them, to be honest with you, since we do live here in the Riverlands. And in my honest opinion, I think they do look a lot better than they did before. Look how much better that looks. It looks so much more realistic, in my opinion. Wow. That does look incredible. I'll give them that. And here's one not too far down from that one. So yeah, you got waterfalls, and you can see the water kind of going around the rock there and everything. They've improved the visuals and performance, and it seems like it actually is playing. Maybe the game is playing a little better. Haven't had any hitches yet. But of course, I only started playing, so. This week, we also get the storm walls back and also the wisp effects. The wisp effects are kind of like the little dust and snow particles that you see kind of flying around whenever you're in the Arctic and desert biomes. And of course, the storm wall was in the game until 2024 when they decided to disable the storm wall because it wasn't meeting their quality standard. Now we have the storm wall back, and basically the storm wall is where you can see storms coming in. It was one of the best things I can imagine that was in Icarus back then, was that you could see this giant wall of whatever snow or sand coming your direction. Now they have implemented this back in again. So we're going to show you a storm wall, and we're also going to show you the wisp effects inside of the Arctic and desert regions. So now when you're in the Arctic, you can see these little wisps of snow kind of there in the distance. Those are the little wisps of snow that are in the Arctic. And you should also see a giant snow wall. We just got a storm posted up. Uh-oh. What is that? It looks like a giant storm wall coming our direction. Oh, wow. That looks very dangerous. God, it looks a lot better than it did, to be honest with you. That's for sure, back whenever Icarus first started. You can see that object just kind of coming our direction very slowly. That should be the red, if I'm not mistaken. That is pretty cool. I actually like that. So this is only in the Arctic and desert, by the way. Currently, they do maybe plan on adding it in other biomes, but currently just the Arctic and desert. You will see the giant storm wall coming your direction. We'll kind of time lapse a little bit. It's here, and I can't see a thing. I don't know, it's kind of weird. It seems like maybe the Arctic one, I don't know. Usually it used to come in and kind of go through, but it looks like it's just sitting there bellowing here in the Arctic. I just wanted to stay and see if this snowstorm actually, what would happen. We're at the very end of the storm here, so we're going to see what happens. Oh. Oh, okay. That was very abrupt. Here we are in the desert, and we can see a bunch of wisps in the desert and sand blowing around. We're going to stick around and see if we can't actually get to a storm and see a storm wall in the desert. But you can kind of see the wind blowing sand around, and that's the wisp that they keep talking about. Well, no. We've got a giant storm wall. Coming in. Looks like we might be inside of. You seen it there for a second, but yeah, there is a storm wall in the desert. Looks like it kind of spawned on us. So, and next week we are getting boar breeding, phenotypes, and the Cleaver. So you're going to be able to breed boars and use the brand new item called the Cleaver, which will help you facilitate the removal of unwanted animal companions, aka kill them. We got to change. Let's skim through this and see if there's anything importanto. Looks like the homestead fireplace pieces are now crafted on decorations bench, not masonry, and have correct decorations tag. And the chimney cap no longer has the ingot requirements, and its crafting time has been adjusted. And some changes to tags and decorations. They fixed the snow pygmy lop trophy being set as wall placement instead of intended ground placement. They optimized 29 axe textures, 28 pickaxe textures, creatures and deployables, and environmental textures. So all kinds of textures optimized. In the future content section, they're adding a blue slinker, it looks like. Original variation setup, currently unattainable in the game. Finally adding that trophy sandworm queen large, and more animations for the red boss. Adding blueprint and recipe for the heavy speeder bike. Looks like we might be getting some flying rad bombers, a devlocked transmog system, and several mentions of the legendary saw. Look at this. Added DEP crate lead lined SML and DBL with animations. So a lead lined crate, adding Blinky, the radioactive fish item setup, and a new fish map for Elysium. Radiation boss saddle item, adding Storka skin variations, rad spawner minion nest. And that looks like it for this changelog. Quite a bit of future content in this one, and a few fixed things. And that's going to be it for this update video. Don't forget, if you like what you see, to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Subscribing will get you more Icarus update videos just like this one. And hopefully, we'll see you next time. Peace.